Welcome to this evening's induction ceremonies. The first inductee this evening into the Graham County Hall of Fame is my brother, Mr. Mitch Crow. Remember fondly as one of the best athletes to ever be called a Black Knight. Mitch Crow graduated from Robbinsville High School in 1985. A five-sport star for the Black Knights, receiving a letter in each. Crowe was a member of the football, wrestling, basketball, baseball, and track and field. Crowe was recognized as the football, wrestling, basketball, and track and field MVP during his high school career and was all-conference in 4 sports his senior year. As a Black Knight football player, Crowe was a member of the 1981, 82, and 83 state championship teams and was an all-state wrestler during his senior year, all classifications. Crowe was also the first ever sectional champion in Robbinsville wrestling history, qualified for the state tournament at 152 pounds. It was not unheard of to see Crowe wrestle for the Black Knights and then catch a ride to suit up as a shooting guard for the basketball team the very same evening. Some of his most cherished memories while competing as a Black Knight was the tutelage he received under head coach, football coach Bob Colvin and head wrestling coach David Haney, as well as being invited to compete in the Junior Olympics for basketball under Donald Eisenhower. After graduating from Robbinsville, Crowe wrestled at Guilford College for 1 year and at UNC Chapel Hill for 3 seasons. His stay with the Tar Heels was marked by being listed as a number 2 wrestler on the depth chart behind Rob Cole, who went on to win a national championship and become a head wrestling coach at Stanford. Today, Crowe is a licensed general contractor for the state of North Carolina. He's been married to his wife Emma for 28 years. They have 2 children, a 25-year-old daughter Julia and a 21-year-old son Elliot. His hobbies include deep sea fishing and hunting. Mr. Mitch Crow, our first inductee into the Graham County Hall of Fame. Our second inductee into the Graham County Hall of Fame is Mr. Charles George. A 5-time Hall of Fame finalist, Charles George graduated from Robbinsville High School in 1970. A football, basketball, and track and field star for the Knights, George was a player on the 1969 state championship team. He still has a vivid memory of his final high school game, the 1969 state title showdown with Manio, played at Big Oak Stadium. George can recall the feeling of calmness with preparation, which turned into adrenaline when the clock ran out and Robbinsville claimed its first ever state championship in football. George recounts the crowd rushing on the field and remembers throwing a cheerleader into the air in celebration of the achievement. As a tackle, his work afforded him a scholarship to Western Carolina University, where he played for the Catamounts during the 1970 season. George was also selected as a member of the Asheville Citizen Times All-Scholarship team his senior year for his role on the Robbinsville football team. His talents were not just limited to football, however. George set a mark of 52 feet 4 inches in the shot put in 1969, a Black Knight record that still stands 52 years later. And when all was said and done, George was an All-Western North Carolina honorable mention in football and All-Smoky Mountain Conference in both football and track. After college, George returned to teach at Robbinsville High School from 1977 to 1985. He was also an assistant coach for the Black Knight football teams that won 5 consecutive state championships between 1979 and 83. George also served as an assistant on the wrestling, baseball, track, and field teams at Robbinsville High School. Beginning in 1985, George served as an assistant principal at Robbinsville High School, becoming the principal from 1990 to 1993. In the summer of 1993, he accepted an administrative assistant position with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, later signing with the Western Region Educational Service Alliance in 1994. George retired from the Alliance in 2012. Today, he is married to Teresa. The couple have 3 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. His retirement has been filled with checking off bucket list items like traveling, cruises, going to concerts, and collecting vintage LPs. Mr. Charles George. Our next inductee this evening into the Graham County Hall of Fame is Mr. Randy Moody. Forever dedicated to the Black Knights football program, Randy Moody is a 1982 graduate of Robbinsville High School. A football, basketball, baseball, and track and field athlete throughout his entire high school stay, Moody received what he calls his greatest honor by being named captain of the football team his senior year, since the distinction was voted on by his teammates. Robbinsville won 3 straight 1A state championships while Moody was on the team, and his accomplishments on the gridiron led up to being named All Smoky Mountain Conference, an honorable mention on the All Western North Carolina team, and he was also named as the school's best receiver, leading Western North Carolina in receiving yards as a senior with 697 yards and 29 catches. He had a total of 4 interceptions in state championship football games with 6 picks alone his senior year. Moody had over 1,000 yards total offense during his final season with the Knights, with 6 touchdowns and a kickoff return. Moody looks back at the 1981 state title game as especially memorable, as Robbinsville knocked off what was touted as the best team in the East ever sent up to the mountains, Belhaven Wilkinson, by a score of 68-0. This victory came after the Knights, viewed as an underdog, beat the previously undefeated Cherokee Braves in the semifinals. He was also voted Mr. Hustle and named team captain of the basketball team his senior year. Moody was an honorable mention on the All-Smoky Mountain Conference baseball team and was a member of the All-Conference relay team for track and field, as Robbinsville won the conference championship in both 1981 and 1982. Moody continued his involvement with the Knights in 1993, joining the football team as a statistician. He began coaching the junior varsity Knights in 1994 and moved up to the varsity squad in 1995. Robbinsville has won 7 conference titles and 2 state crowns, while Moody has served on the coaching staff with the Knights, winning over 200 football games in the last 25 years. He proudly proclaims that he has attended every Black Knight football game since 1992 and even helped design the current press box, which was constructed in 1996, and renovations to the stadium, which were completed in 2018. Moody currently works for Graham County Schools in the technology department. He is married to his wife Felicia and has 2 children, Mariah and Miranda. The family is expecting his first grandchild in March of 2022. He enjoys traveling and heading on to Lake Santigla in his spare time. Mr. Randy Moody. And now, the 1977 Robbinsville High School football team. The 1977 state championship football team helped set a standard that was made for the entire state of North Carolina after defeating Rock Ridge for the state championship. Their prowess was shown throughout the season, amassing a 13-0 record and extending Coach Colvin's winning streak to 26 consecutive games. This season was considered to be a surprise, as the Black Knights had only 4 returning starters from the previous season. This group of players were known for their meanness and raw horsepower in a game that was evolving into one that was more of a finesse style. Along with Coach Colvin was a group of assistant coaches that helped along the way, and at this point had coached together for the better part of a decade. Crediting his players for their toughness, Coach Colvin once said how they were a different team in the playoffs and that the boys did it themselves. It is something you can learn in the playoffs the year before. The 1977 Robbinsville High School championship team. Now the 1979 Robbinsville High School football team. The 1979 state championship Black Knight football team was the epitome of the old adage, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. After starting the season with a 1-3 record, the Black Knights won the next 9 games, culminating in a 46-8 win over Princeton in the state title game. The 1979 team boasted 5 all-conference players, 5 honorable mention all-conference players, 1 all-Western North Carolina player, and 3 honorable mention all-Western North Carolina players. The highlight of this season was a 63-yard onside kick recovery for a touchdown with 9 seconds remaining in the game to defeat Cullowhee 25-21. Overall, the 1979 Black Knights outscored their playoff opponents 84-30, continuing their dominance over the entire state of North Carolina. The 1979 Robbinsville High School Black Knight football team. As the 79 team has their pictures made, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand and let's congratulate these inductees and these two teams into the Graham County Hall of Fame. Mr. Mitch Crow, Mr. Charles George, Mr. Randy Moody, and the 1977 and 1979 Robbinsville High School State Championship teams. Congratulations.